This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 4th, 2022. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on, bro?
Good. We were able to have a fun guest on, a guest we haven't had on, two guests, I should say, that we haven't had on. So excited for you guys to be able to hear our, not necessarily really an interview. I guess we asked some interview questions, but yeah, just our time with Court Cousins and get to hear from them. Always a fun time. Really great guys. So definitely we plugged them during the time, but also go check them out for sure.
Absolutely. You can find them on social media at Court Cousins, I believe. Listen to the whole interview. They give all their tags at the end. You can find them on YouTube. Make sure that you check those guys out. Appreciate them taking the time enjoying the show. The Pich and Kyle, again, thank you guys for joining the show. This week, kind of light on the Orlando Magic news, Luke, as we start to head deeper into the offseason here. Still about 4 or 5 weeks away from training camp, and then we'll start to get into preseason. But this week, we got news that the Orlando Magic shooting coach, Bruce Kreitzer, who's been with the Magic, I think, the last 4 or 5 seasons. I'm probably getting that incorrect, but he is moving on to the Charlotte Hornets to work with Coach Steve Clifford again. So, Coach Cliff left, not after this past season, but the season before that, after, coaching the team for 3 seasons. And he's back with the Charlotte Hornets. So, Bruce Kreitzer moving back with Steve Clifford again. We'll see what the Magic decide to do in terms of hiring a shooting coach. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens there. And then we had Paolo playing at the crossover in Seattle last week. This weekend on Saturday, we're going to see Paolo in Tacoma, Washington at what's called Zeke End, which is Isaiah Thomas, the Celtics Isaiah Thomas, not the Pistons Isaiah Thomas. That is going to be his Pro-Am event that is happening in Tacoma, Washington. That's going to be this Saturday. So, I mean,
are they streaming it? Is the NBA going to do it?
I don't know. That's what I was just about to say. They streamed the crossover. We'll see if they stream the Zeke End. I think there's going to be a few NBA guys there. I know Isaiah Thomas is going to play in it. Paolo is going to play in it.
Do you know if Chet is going back for more or what?
I don't know. I know Jaden McDaniels is also playing in the Zeke End. All of those kind of Seattle area guys. So we'll see what happens, but looking forward to that. Just trying to think anything else. Not really much news, but really quickly, we're going to go ahead and shout out Court Cousins again. Shout out Armin, Elite Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Magic Player History, Wiffle, Michael Salapong, Ryan Singh, The Distract, Pierre A., Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Drum, Danimal, Duddo15, Bobby Skinner, Nate Donley, Gotti93. You might be wondering why I shouted those folks out. If you are wondering, you can find out at patreon.com/The Sixth Man Show. We have 3 awesome tiers that you can select from. Multiple, various benefits in each one of those tiers. And in our Hall of Fame tier, we shout you out on every single episode. Our All-Star tier, you get a special thank you at the end of every single one of our podcasts on the YouTube version of that at the end of the YouTube video. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. Without further ado, we're going to get to our chat with the boys, the family boys, the Court Cousins. All right, Orlando Magic fans, it is a family affair this week. We have one of our favorite podcasts on with us. You know them as the Cousins. Court Cousins, Kyle and Pich. What's going on, fellas? Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. First time on the show. Kevin and myself had the pleasure of meeting you guys last year in Orlando. You guys came down for a couple of games. When was that? Was that like November, December?
It was actually January. Yeah, we came down for the Reddit night. We were able to watch the Lakers game and then the Bulls game. There were far too many Lakers fans in there. We had some good banter back and forth, but our team didn't come through on that one. But it was a great night to be in the Bulls arena, seeing Jalen's dunk live. I mean, that place was electric. Yeah. It was a good time. Hoping that we go back. Migzor is organizing the Reddit night again. Yeah. We want to be back down in Orlando for a few games this year as well.
Yeah,
Shout
maybe I'm
out
biased,
Michael
but I
Orlando.
felt like that was a turning point for us. Like some people were coming back, and we got that win, and it just felt like people had to take us seriously from almost that moment forward. Didn't mean they did, but they
Right.
did.
Yeah.
They should have.
Well, we were certainly starting to get there, towards the end of the season, and then I think Jeff and John were like, all right, we got to really lose these last few games, and everything worked out the way that it was supposed to. You end up with the number 1 overall pick. I want to start with you, Pich. Obviously, you were team anyone but Chet, and I just want to ask, has your mind been changed at all from what you've seen out of Chet so far?
No, not at all. He's doing well now, which I kind of expect. I
Right.
feel like he may have a couple of good seasons, but I feel like in the long haul, he's just not going to be able to keep up. I would think, maybe 7 years from now, we might be like, what was that guy's name that everybody wanted us to draft? And I'll remember because somehow he's gotten linked to me. But I've always been pretty good at like seeing guys in drafts. Like I remember Bryant Reeves back in the day and being like, this guy's a bum. Aaron Gordon, like other guys that I've seen that have been like, oh, he peaked in college. He's not going to be as big as people think he is. It's just that we just started our podcast this year, so he's the only one. Otherwise, there'd be a longer list of guys that I haven't liked that also haven't panned out.
Right. Hey, really quickly, for our listeners that maybe haven't heard of you guys, what inspired you guys to start your pod, and then just kind of give us like the Court Cousins elevator pitch, if you will.
I guess what inspired it is Pich has been involved with podcasting. I mean, Pich had a local broadcast sports TV show back in Vermont back in the 90s, early 2000s. So he's been in the game for a while. We're cousins. We truly are cousins, Court Cousins, and we share in our family a love of the Orlando Magic. So we've both been wanting a creative outlet, and the podcast is that for us. The elevator pitch is we're cousins and doing a relatively good podcast on the Orlando Magic. Get it? Relatively? It's a pun.
Relatively.
It's relatively,
relatively
related.
Good.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our approach
Both
is
of
Those
those
more.
are
elevator
strong
pitches that
suit.
hit you later.
That's a fact.
Yeah, our approach is more comedy, I guess. We do a lot of segment style. We definitely don't take ourselves too seriously. Although right now we are in our business attire, as Chuma showed us that we should be doing. We've got the polos on because we're ready for business tonight, gentlemen.
I love it.
Incredible. I wanted to say, when did you guys start doing the podcast again?
October, I think.
Okay.
Of 2021. But
Last
don't
year.
go watch those videos.
Oh, well, I did, and I watched them when you guys first started making them. I think maybe not too long after you. It was fairly early, and I watched the first one that I watched was obviously, like you said, like it's more of a comedy approach and like segments and things like that. And I remember watching it, and the first thing I did was DM you guys. I think I DM'd the Court Cousins Twitter, and I just said, you guys, if you guys continue doing what you're doing, like in this space where there's so many Magic podcasts out there, if you're an up and coming podcast, you have to do something different. And you guys did that. Like you guys have brought something to the Magic community that wasn't here in the first place. And I think that like that obviously propels you guys, up there just because we don't have that. And you guys obviously have the ability to do it. The stuff you guys did, I believe in your last episode, with like, I believe it was court type stuff. Like you guys were just doing bits and like putting faces, animated, like putting faces
guest
to other people.
conference?
Yeah, the guest conferences. You guys crush it really, and are really like perfecting your craft too. It's been awesome to see you guys continue to grow for sure.
I really appreciate you saying that then and now. And we kind of figured, there's already so many guys out here doing it straight and giving us good stuff like you guys and so many other podcasts that we have to do something different. Otherwise, we'll get lost in the shuffle and people will watch you guys and other shows before they get to us.
Pich is good at scouting draft talent. I like to think that I was good at scouting the podcast talent. You guys crush it for sure.
All right.
Hey, I don't think I'm too bad at scouting podcast talent myself. lo and behold, you are sitting right here with us.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Give some credit where credit is due.
I appreciate
This
that.
is nice. No, we're getting the 6-man bump right now. You guys have been on
Hey,
fire. You went on
we always
pick a
always
side. You went on with Kenny, dude. We're getting the real bump
Hey.
right now. Go check out our channel, everybody.
Hey, go check out
Or even
Court
half
Cousins.
of you.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, one of the coolest things is like we're all kind of like doing our own thing in our own ways, but the fact that it really still is like a really tight knit community. Like we were able to meet you guys. Like obviously we've met the Ozone guys like multiple amount of times. So like there's enough space for everybody to kind of do their thing. And what I've learned about Magic fans is like they want more. Like if you put out more content, they are going to seek that out and consume that. So
we're about to have a boatload more with the Banchero train as we're skyrocketing to the Eastern Conference Finals, baby. Come on.
this year.
This year. Yeah,
as a
let's
matter
go.
of fact. Let me ask you guys about that. Obviously, we've started to see the Pro-Am stuff. He played in the crossover last week. He's getting ready to play in Isaiah Thomas's tournament this weekend. Talking about Summer League, like what are you guys' early opinions on Paolo?
Me? All right. They're not much different than what I thought he was going to be to begin with. It is interesting to see, like, in Duke's system, there were so many other pieces there. He wasn't the focal point. And so now we kind of got to see him as an actual, like, team leader and the guy who's going to be ball dominant, which is something he could be doing on our team. So it's good to see him out of that Duke system and out of that Duke jersey, too, and into something else. But you could tell he had the skills to be able to do it, but it was weird to watch him in college because you're like, I feel like this guy could give us more, but he's not. And like they're losing to North Carolina twice, and it's Coach K's last year. He should be playing inspired ball. And it's like, but there's so many talented guys on that team. All 5 of them get drafted in the first round that it was tough for him to do what he does. And I think the same could be said for Chet, to be honest.
Yeah.
A compliment.
It's those
a compliment to Chet. All right.
Only on your show.
Can't happen on Court Cousins official episodes. And that is the thing as far as like the systems go. We've talked about it so much on the show already, as I'm sure you guys have talked about, but just the systems that you get into in college, they really like there's guys that are built for college for that game, and there's guys that are built for the NBA. Right. Obviously,
Luka Garza.
Obviously, both can be true. Like you can be good in both, but I think as far as like spacing, things like that, Paolo obviously has been able to benefit. Are you guys on the side of Paolo should play like as much as he wants during this off season, or are you like, oh, I'd rather him not do that because he could get hurt? Is that which way do you guys err? Do you guys just want more Paolo?
Why would you even say that as a possibility?
It is just perspective.
You knock on some wood right now.
Dude, like unbelievable.
Well, we
bro.
can't have that defeatist outlook. I prefer guys playing with other pros, even amateurs, just getting some run. I think you made the point the other day, Luke, maybe on Pick a Side, how we got to see a different side of Paolo in this Pro-Am. Just Paolo as the complete takeover alpha. He knows he's playing with kind of a bunch of amateurs, minus a couple other guys. So there's something to be said for it. I like the guys playing basketball, staying in shape. Injuries are going to happen, but as we all know in the Magic community, but I don't want to live my life worried about that and putting all of our guys in bubble wrap, like Oklahoma City and Miami denying guys to go play in Eurobasket right now. I wouldn't want the Magic to do that with Franz and Moritz. I'm happy that they're playing out there. I think there's something to be said about the franchise allowing their players to do them too, because we don't want to be that type of franchise, especially younger kids, that tries to constrain people. As a teacher, it never works.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen, like, just going back to, Klay Thompson, tears his ACL in the finals and then is, like, rehabbing, playing pickup, just trying to rehab and tears his Achilles. So it can happen at any time, anywhere. I think Paige Beckers for UConn just tore her ACL playing pickup in the summer. Like, that's what happens. You can get hurt at any time. Don't put guys in a bubble wrap. But I can't lie. I do get very nervous every single time one of our guys hits the deck and doesn't pop right back up. Yeah. I'm like, it's an ACL. fire the whole training staff. What are we doing? I'm just been hurt so many times the last 3 seasons by seeing guys, go down with, not always major injuries like an ACL, but, it's an ankle, it's a wrist, it's a thumb, whatever the case is. This year, we're just hoping for a little bit more health.
On an aside here, did you guys happen to see Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, during camp the other day, what he did?
That would be Pich's domain.
One in particular, he does so many amazing things every day.
No, so he, I think like he barely got touched or something, but he just like hit the deck and made his like basically made a bunch of Bills fans like hold their breath because he just didn't get up. Like he just fell face first, and then like his teammates got him up, and he was clearly perfectly fine. But it's those moments that make you just like everything rises and escalates in terms of like nerves and like Jonathan said, these guys are hitting the court in the off season. Anytime you see him hit the deck, it's really unfortunate.
Well, if we talk about like Cole Anthony specifically, every time Cole hits the floor, he just like lays all the way out, just like waiting for people to come pick him up. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is a little scary, but I want them to do basically whatever they want to do in the off season. I wouldn't want them to just rest for 3 months and then expect to come back and play basketball at a high level. If this is what you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to ask you guys, I don't know if you've talked about this on your show. I feel like there are certain things that Luke and I have just talked about ad nauseum at this point as we start making our way through the offseason. But what's the two of you, your take on the starting lineup? Like, what do you want to see opening night?
We have had some very rigorous debate. I was at first putting J.I. into my starting lineup, and then the Magic community attacked me and came out with me.
Oh, my gosh.
At me.
They will do that.
They
will
came
do that,
at me. Rightfully so, because, the young man, Paolo Banchero, I'm thinking, he needs to earn it. He needs to get his stripes. He needs a little bit of humble pie, coming in. We don't want him to have his head not fit in the door and everything. And we also have an amazing squad, but it is kind of crazy to think that a number 1 pick would come off the bench. And I do think that I'm in error there. I think it's more likely with J.I. coming back from injury and the way that we know our team handles injuries that he's going to be coming off the bench. So Paulo will probably be in that 3-4. Franz playing the alternate position. I think however you mix them, whatever, they're both big wings. Wendell at the 5. I think Suggs at the 2 and Kell at the 1. I mean, Suggs has had he had an injury at the end of in this offseason, right? He had the ankle issue. They got surgery on. So he says he's 100%, but him telling us that and our staff actually following through with that are two different things. So I would not be surprised to see, Cole at the 2. We see him working with the lethal shooter, getting that percentage up, hopefully. We need him to have consistency throughout the whole year. He brings a little bit more to the table in terms of a shooter. If I had it my way, though, it'd be Gary Harris in that 2.
Okay.
Luke just perked up. I know Luke's excited to talk about this.
That's his guy.
That's his agenda. I just wanted to slide that in for you, Luke. Here it is.
I appreciate it.
Open.
Yeah, I don't disagree that might not be a bad idea. I could see really almost, I hate to say this, but I feel like I could see almost everybody playing the 2 except for like Mo Bamba and Bol Bol. Like, I could see them somehow shifting people. I could see Franz somehow playing the 2. But, like, to be honest, the vision I see in my head for J.I. is he's definitely coming off the bench because he's going to get a huge pop. Like, when he signs into that game, just like when Markelle came back, it's going to be that same pop, right? Like, he's got to get that. They're not going to have him in the starting lineup for that pop. But I just feel like, there's no way Paulo doesn't start. So part of the people that attacked Kyle were sitting across the table from him immediately because that seemed just absurd to me.
Right.
I could see Cole or Suggs being the starting 2 on day 1. I think if they're being gentle with Suggs, then maybe it's Cole because I feel like Cole's kind of a team leader and he should start.
I think you just have to look as far as the way they handled Markelle. Like Kyle said, even though we all knew he was the best guard on the team and should have been starting, could have been starting, bringing him off the bench, just kind of bring him back easily, ease his way back into things. I think we'll see the same thing with J.I. And it just becomes like, we have the first overall pick. We got to start him, So it makes it kind of easy to bring J.I. off the bench. But, yeah, I can't wait for that moment when he finally checks back in. I mean, I hope that happens. Some people still think that we're never going to see him on the floor again.
Yeah.
And to this point, I'm like, all right, I kind of understand where you're coming from, but we hope that that's not the case.
Luke, are you going to go off on Gary Harris now?
Oh, I would love for Gary Harris to get the start just for the fact that he's Gary Harris. Just stick him in that corner and let him hit the three. The best corner three shooter.
It's so crazy, like how disrespectful Luke got with Gary Harris, and like now just how much he is like the Gary Harris guy. It's very interesting.
Moment of no. This
weakness?
is the same thing with Chuma. No, I was against Chuma.
Oh.
I was against Chuma.
Yeah.
And I felt it was rightfully so.
I'm
not like
yeah.
a huge Chuma fan by any means in that regard, but I know, gasp.
They're wearing the collared shirts. What are you doing?
I know. It's very disrespectful to our guests.
Do we have to pop it? What will please you?
So no, I felt that it was warranted for Chuma. Chuma was genuinely streaky. It's in the stats. He was shooting at a high volume where then he'd shoot 0 for 6 from 3 the next game. Regardless, Gary Harris did have a miserable stretch where he was not shooting well there at the beginning, and then picked it back up. How he ended up shooting 38% from 3 truly is a testament to how incredible he was in that latter half of the year. But yes, so all that to say, I feel like rightfully so. I was on the Gary Harris train, and then he just looked terrible. And he got hot again, and I was like, all right, fine, Gary. I was never far. I'm right here. So
as a guy who lived in Boston, I understand fair weather fans.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see Gary in there.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just.
I just hope we're having this conversation about depth, about lineup. We're talking about starting lineup. Really, what we care most about is that ending lineup. That real core is how I'm interpreting the question. I hope we're having this at the turn of the year, at the All-Star break, because then, kind of to the point that you made, Luke, on Pick a Side, that's a real good sign. Mm-hmm. If we're having the depth conversation about, who should come off the bench, who should be starting, that means that J.I. has come back and is challenging guys in practice. Mm-hmm. He's looking real good to the point that we need to have that conversation. Yeah. Or Chuma's playing really well, or Gary's still knocking it down 50% from the freaking corner, and we're like, man, this guy needs minutes. Like, Suggs is killing it, though, too. What do we do? That's the problem that I think is what is really energizing me and a lot of other Magic fans is just the depth of this squad right now.
What if we petition the NBA that instead of 5 guys on the floor at a time, we move it to 7?
Okay.
Just 7 on 7, get J.I. in there, get Gary Harris in there, because you make a good point, Kyle. Like, the end of games, of course I'm going to want Jonathan Isaac out there, like, defending the other guy's best guy, but I'm also going to want Franz Wagner. I'm going to want Jalen Suggs out there. You're going to want to put the ball in Paolo's hands. You're going to have Wendell running pick and roll. You're going to have Markelle facilitating that pick and roll. So so like you mentioned, we were on with Kenny Beecham, and people in the comments, because I think the caption he used, like, do the Orlando Magic have like a top 5 core? And young people core. Were like laughing in the comments, like, oh, yeah, young core. Excuse me, yes, young core. People are laughing in the comments. I'm like, you are showing that you don't know what you're talking about with the Orlando Magic.
Don't know, yeah.
Because you just start going down the roster, and we legitimately have, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 guys that I would be comfortable with starting at some point next year. So it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I want to it's Court Cousins are on, so like we have to do something different from our normal flow, Jonathan. I want to play basically a superlative game. Most likely 2.
Okay.
And it's nothing overly creative. It is not Court Cousins level. But I thought about it today, and I was like, I want to do something different. So what we'll do is I'm going to list a stat line, and it's going to be from a single game, okay? And we're going to all chime in on who we believe is most likely to put up that stat line in a game, okay? There's going to be some good ones. There's going to be some ridiculous ones, and there'll be, your average ones, I guess you would say. So the first one I want to kick it off with is the stat line of 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. Who in a single game? This isn't an average. It happens one game. Who is the first player or who is the most likely on this roster that you'd say, I think that's who would get that stat line. So 25, 10, and 8 essentially.
Ooh.
I think it's Moritz Wagner.
Oh,
Mo Wagner. All right.
I did not
like that.
see that pull.
He put up some gaudy numbers in some games this year. He did. He's going to be on this list.
8 assists, though? You think Mo dishes 8 dimes?
I'm hoping that he's picking obscure ones and he's trying to dump us.
I don't know. I was originally thinking Franz because that 8 assists, 10 rebounds is a little much for Franz, but here's definitely games that he got that. I'm going to go with WCJ, though. I'm going to go with Wendell on a game that he had a higher assist because in the post, making some nice dishes and people falling through. I'm going to go with WCJ.
And I'm gonna go Paolo.
Guess, yeah.
I'm not gonna overthink it. We've seen.
All right, guys. I'm not leaving me with a ton of options
We've seen the
here.
vision.
All right.
We've seen that. We obviously know he can grab rebounds, and he's ball dominant. I think Paolo is the safe choice here. And Jonathan.
All right, I'm going to go maybe a little underrated. I'm going to go Cole Anthony on this one. Obviously, the 25 points, we know he can do that. He's a great guard rebounder, especially at his size.
Absolutely.
And we know he's got the ability to drop 8 dimes in a game. So the rebounds, might be a little bit difficult for him to get. We saw him get 7 or 8 on a somewhat regular basis last year. But I do think that he could get to that 10, 25,
All right,
10, and 8.
so we're
Cole Anthony.
See, I thought you were giving us a quiz with a stat line from a
That's
game
what I
last
thought,
year,
too.
and we had
This is
this year going forward.
so that's on me. I would not
Okay.
pick Moritz Wagner
Cole,
for that.
I mean, Luke
I don't think he's
going to
play that much.
I haven't really talked through
like
this very much. If you guys can tell.
Wow, we just did a trivia thing with
No,
Jay,
no,
too,
not
so I
trivia.
was
Superlative
right.
for sure. Like most likely too. But so
Yeah,
now that
okay,
we've got
okay,
the gist of it
Okay.
here, we'll wrap up shortly. But I want to put this one in there. I'm gonna go with a 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 0 assists. Who is it?
Why
Who
are
is
we
it?
doing this? This
Who
is
is it?
disrespectful.
No, I'm just saying you can make up the scenario in your head.
2 points, 3 rebounds,
I think
0
I said
assists.
4.
I mean, we all know
Yeah.
it's Mo Bamba. Like, what the
That's-
hell are we doing? It's Mo
Oh,
Bamba, guys.
come on. Heck
Bull.
no.
Kyle,
Oh,
I-
come on,
You
bro.
can't see.
Yeah.
You can't see an 0 for 5 night from beyond the arc. I mean, for being a pretty much a 7-footer, the
Oh,
guy
no.
rebounds like
Yeah.
me. Like what? I'm
gonna
sorry,
say that
but
in this.
This is
honestly,
painful.
Kyle, I was going Mo Bamba as well. I was going Mo Bamba,
Thank you.
and I'm saying
Y'all
in
are
this
wild for
scenario
that.
though, it's because he fouls
Wow.
out, and that's where I'm going. Most likely too. He's gonna foul out, and that's gonna be his ending stat line there. So that's
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
So, somewhere, Steve Clifford is smiling.
Hey, if Mo's coming off the bench for us, I want him playing defense at a level where he's not worried about getting all those fouls. So bring it on.
yeah.
What about you, Peach? Who do you think? Are you going Mo?
I would think Bull, to be honest.
That's fair.
Okay.
Like, I could see him coming in, getting a putback, and getting 3 rebounds in garbage time. Like,
I don't
seems
hate
like
it.
a place for him. I don't know.
Respectfully, I'm going to go Devin Kennedy. Just see him
Okay.
coming off the bench, perhaps in garbage
3
time.
boards?
Maybe making a layup, dishing out, well, you said 0 assists. So, grabbing a few boards, getting out in transition when we're up, 30 on like the Milwaukee Bucks or something crazy like that. Why not? In this hypothetical universe that we're talking about.
Speak that. Into
Yeah, maybe a
existence.
little Devin Kennedy action. But I like the Bull. I think that would be
Yeah,
my pick.
That's a good one in
But
hindsight for
so
sure.
that I'm not a copycat, I'll go Devin Kennedy. Because I don't see anyone else on this roster like not putting up at least some numbers, like our regular rotation guys. Maybe if you had to pick a guy in the rotation, well, you guys already said Mo Bamba. Aside from that, I don't know, maybe RJ Hampton. But that's another guy. I know we're getting ready to wrap up here, but that's another guy that I don't really know what his role looks like this year, especially if we're not moving Terrence Ross before the season starts. You want him to have some kind of trade value.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, that is going to do it for us here with the Court Cousins. Appreciate you guys joining the show. Before you leave us, please tell the folks where they can find you and they can find all your content.
You can find us on anywhere you listen or watch. YouTube is a great place to check us out. We do all of our clips there. But if you listen on Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever, we're there.
Awesome.
Yeah, courtcousins.com has all of our links. And you can catch me by the cave being the father of dragons.
Love that. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. Let's do this again soon.
Please. Thanks, guys.
Indeed.
Peace.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
guys. All right, that was our chat with Court Cousins. Again, shout out to the Peach, to Kyle for joining the show. That was a lot of fun. Had some technical difficulties. We had to cut that a little bit shorter than we wanted to, but we're going to bring those guys back pretty soon. Maybe sometime in the regular season, just chop it up with them again. But big thanks to those guys. It was a lot of fun, Luke.
Yeah. Like I said at the front end here,
Did you just swallow a frog? What's going on
so.
here?
I had to cough. I drank all my water. Unbelievable.
Your Wi-Fi is going down. Are you dying?
I think so. This is it. But the last thing I'll say is once again, check them out. Genuinely, one of like the just more unique like podcasts, way more unique than us. That's for sure. The stuff they do, man, is crazy. I can't imagine what like they essentially probably need production meetings to go through.
Well,
like,
they live together, so I'm sure they're like one of them's like slamming a bowl of honeycombs. Like, hey, what do you think about this tonight? He's like, you know what? I like that. I like that. Maybe it's not honeycombs. I don't know what their cereal of choice is, but yeah.
Yeah. And knowing them and how good their segments are, I don't think it's the day of either. I think it's I think that they're just like constantly. You think they have a whiteboard? And they have a whiteboard and they just write that stuff down?
Maybe
they just walk by and
have
they put it up
kind
there.
of documentation. Yeah, Kyle's a teacher, so maybe he's got like his composition notebook. He's always making notes in. I don't really know.
Yeah,
but thanks to those guys for joining the show. Check out, keep your eyes open for this weekend, see if that's going to be streamed or not. But really appreciate the Court Cousins for joining. Appreciate you guys for listening. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys have been listening to the Sixth Man Show. We will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to the Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!